Yes, and welcome all you wonderful world of weedsters out there. Welcome to another brand new edition of Weed on Wrestling, the podcast where I get super stoned and talk about what's happening in the WWE universe. And again, I'm your host, Weed, aka Alan. Let's get right into things. Topic of choice today going to be the NXT division. And it's fell a long way from grace over the past couple years. It's the complete opposite of 205 Live, and we're going to talk about that right now into detail. The biggest thing 205 Live has working for it right now, commentary. Their commentary team is second to none between the likes of Corey Graves and Mauro Ranallo. NXT has a lot of work to do. Nigel couldn't talk his way out of a gay porn scene. I can't talk to Tom Phillips or listen to Tom Phillips talk the same way that I ever did again. The other douchebag barely speaks, and when he does, it's not even worth mentioning. Just not good. The whole commentary team overall, weak. Very, very weak. But then once we do get started going in the actual wrestling, the show isn't horrible. It needs a lot of work still. I just don't know where it could go from here. I don't know what's wrong with NXT. And it bugs the shit out of me. Sanity and Eric Young versus this Ty Dillinger feud where they bring out people, go attack people. Young sends Sanity away, and they come back holding the dude. It's been done before. We've seen it with the Wyatt family. We've seen it with the Brood, the Ministry of Darkness, corporate ministry, whatever you want to call them. I mean, please, can you please just come up with some better shit? Because this recycled crap has got to go. We know how it's all going to play out. Heel's going to get about a 3-week good run. Face is going to come in, win the big match, feud over. We've seen it 100 times before. It's just not what we as the wrestling fan want to see. And I know fans, you can tell it in my voice, I'm just not into this one today. It wasn't a good show. The entire NXT division, like I said before, it's in shambles from what it was 2 years ago, hell, even a year ago. They're not using their talent correctly. They're not building characters anymore. They're not making us feel and want to see the competitors like they used to. I blame the lead writer moving up to SmackDown Live, and that's what makes SmackDown where it's at right now. But back to the show, and I don't know why, but back to the show. Ho-Ho Lynn was back. That was a good thing, because I love me some Ho-Ho! From the Cruiserweight Classic. I was just thinking about Loon the other day, and it was good to see him back. I liked him in the Cruiserweight tournament, and I hope this is a trend that we can continue to see. Last week, if you remember back, listeners, we had the wild Samoan lineage, the other Uso cousin, Sean Malta, I believe. He was on NXT. And he's a former member of the Cruiserweight Classic, or whatever the hell they called it, being jobbed out to a rising superstar. Now this one, against Cien, it was a squash match from the beginning, and you knew it was. But I like seeing the memorable ones from the Cruiserweight Classic, and I hope we start to see more of the Europeans as well, from the European Challenge. Or championship, whatever it is, but I like seeing them get their ring time. I like seeing the transformation of a nobody indie wrestler to what could be a great, even, wrestler. Ho-Ho Loon, I think, has potential. I truly believe that potential is there. And the match happened, so, I mean, it was that androgynous scene versus Ho-Ho Loon, and it was a squash match. Neither looked good, though. Cien gets the win. Imagine that. There's nothing for me to even talk about here other than Ho Ho Loon getting a little bit of match time, a little bit of ring time. Cien squash match, I guess. I thought he was a number one contender, or at least like a main storyline person at one point, but now he's getting jobbers to beat up on. It was a pointless fucking match. It got no one anywhere storyline wise. Change over the piece of paper here. You can hear it. And it's going to be a short one today because there's not a whole lot to talk about on NXT. Let me hit this. Kind of ramble through the nonsense that I have written on my paper. Alright, so the women's division's actually kind of shaping up a little bit. It has potential to be the best storyline going on NXT. Ember Moon versus Billie Kay was the match, but that wasn't what everybody was thinking about. Ember Moon undefeated, continuing her undefeated streak. It was more craptastic shit, but you knew it was going to be. And I have it written here, big bold letters on the top of my page. Man, NXT really mailed it in this week. Back to the match. No one cares about these two Australian bitches, Billie Kay and whatever the other one is. And it's not like the number one contender match even matters anyway, because we know that Asuka is left waiting for whoever wins. And she's going to kill anybody who comes her way. Just listen to the fans every single time. But if you keep building up this storyline to the possibility that it could be, ooh, we're in for something great. There is something there with this Ember Moon. Just, she's not on an Asuka level yet. Has potential, well, kind of. She's got good ring skills, good intimidation level. Maybe she is worth the hype. I don't know. I'm going to have to invest more time into her. Maybe they can give her more storyline. But she can only carry so much of a match for so long. And Billie Kay fucking sucks. She can't carry anything. I believe this Billie Kay is the new Bella bitch. Anything she's in, I'm going to hate. She has no charisma, no in-ring skill. She just sucks, and not in the good way that she could suck. And then once Botchamania was finally over, oh my god, it was such a bad match. And there was missed spots, crap wrestling. It looked like a wet blanket fighting an overcooked spaghetti noodle. It was just horrible. Inside of a wet paper bag as well. I might as well just throw that in there. Inside of a wet paper bag. It wasn't good. Ember Moon wins. Billie Kay does a shit job of selling a fake injury at the end of it, and it was just all some horse fucking shit. Moving forward, though, what I would like to see, maybe keep this undefeated streak of Ember Moon alive. Maybe keep an Asuka undefeated streak alive. Streak versus streak going into another takeover for NXT. I don't want to see Asuka get beat, but I don't want to see Ember Moon get beat either. Maybe we make it, you could do a regular match, and they just get to fighting so much that they fight outside, both get counted out, double count out. Give them an Iron Man match. Have the old Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero match where they both get one pin apiece and then tie on the second pin? Or do you do a Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels where neither one get a pin the entire time? Maybe do a little cage match where one escapes the top, one escapes the door at the exact same time. There's so much potential you could go to keep this streak alive and not let either competitor look weak. But it's NXT, they're going to write themselves into a corner, and somebody's going to have to get their undefeated streak broken. I have a feeling it's going to be Asuka as a way to move her up, and that's horseshit. Why would you make somebody look weak when they're so good that they no longer need your show? It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, but it's NXT. Why put any thought into it? Because it's going to change in 6 months anyway. It's never going to be the same, and we know this as fans. So moving on with the NXT house show, I guess we'll talk about Revivals versus what they call themselves, the Ely brothers. Who? No fucking... There was no match. And we knew there wasn't going to be a match because Ely brothers, no. Authors of Pain run in and take out the Ely brothers, and Revival runs away. You knew it was going to happen. My question was, where was DIY during this? And that leads me to the What About Me segment of the week, the What About Raven segment. What about me? What about Raven? As the WWE star that wasn't there, has to be Team DIY. Nowhere seen from, heard from, no reference of, or anything about him on NXT programming this week. So the What About Me segment of the week, Team DIY. Moving forward, we had a crap promo with Bobby Roode and Ono for the title, as well as Ember Moon and Asuka for their title. And then we get to the main event. Change the entire show in one match. This, you give us more of this, WWE, I can get behind some shit on this. TJ Perkins versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And Nakamura is back. Perkins looked good, don't get me wrong. Perkins carried the match because Nakamura had a lot of ring rust. There's potential here for a great feud between Shinsuke Nakamura and some TJ Perkins. But I was left wondering why was TJ Perkins on NXT? He's a former champion. Why is he coming back to NXT? You couldn't think of anybody else to job out to Nakamura? But, alright, it is what it is. Again, Nakamura had a little ring rust on him. Shinsuke looked a little slobby here and there. Perkins dabbed on him, and then Nakamura came back with one of his own. It was some great storytelling in this match. It could have been a lot better, but it could have been a lot worse. It was a good, solid return for Shinsuke Nakamura. Perkins held his own, but Nakamura won because you knew he would. At the end of the match, I was still going, why are both these stars on NXT? This could have been a great mid-card match on a Raw or a SmackDown or anything like that. Why is Nakamura returning to NXT? It makes no sense to me. It turns me into a poet and I don't even know it. But, I don't know. There's so much potential that they could do with the Nakamura character. And I've talked about it before and I'll talk about it again. Give him a manager. A Mouth of the South Jimmy Hart or a Paul Heyman, somebody like that. Give Nakamura a manager if you're worried about his mic skills. But we as the fans want to see this. These are the matches that get us hyped. We know TJ Perkins can perform. We've seen him in the Cruiserweight tournament. That was a good hit. We've seen Nakamura perform on excellent levels everywhere over the world. I just don't know why they're both on NXT. That leads me to the end of the show. I'm going to upload this here in a few minutes, and then I'll be back on either Monday night or Tuesday afternoon. With that, you guys stay awesome. As always, I'm Weed, a.k.a. Alan. This has been Weed on Wrestling. Let's get the fuck out of here. And again, sorry for being short. Sorry for not being really into it, but at least it's done, right? Hopefully I can get more hype for Raw and SmackDown next week. Those are the shows I get excited for. It's hard to talk about an hour and a half of programming.